Today at Let's Talk Marketplace, we talk about how to successfully start on Bol, the leading online marketplace in the Netherlands. Tama Memis and Hassan Imran from the German gardening brand Neudorff tell us how they prepared for the perfect onboarding experience on Bol and went live in under 3 weeks. And Patricia Ley from Bol talks us through the most important criteria for international sellers: delivery speed and customer service. Have fun listening. Let's Talk Marketplace,
the Marketplace podcast with Ingrid Lammer and Valerie Dichtel.
Hi everyone, I'm Ingrid. Welcome back to Let's Talk Marketplace, the podcast where Valerie and me normally talk about businesses on online marketplaces. But as Valerie is on holiday today, I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk to a marketplace. Then with one which has received a lot of interest, I think, from our audience in the last month. And that would be the local hero and market leader of the Dutch and Belgian market, Bol. And here to talk about Bol today is Patricia Ley, Partnership Growth Manager at Bol. So welcome, Patricia. How are you doing?
Thank you. Hi, Ingrid. Hi, Tam and Hassan. I'm Patricia, and I'm doing great. Such a pleasure to be here with you on the podcast and to represent Bol today.
Yeah, great to have you. And Patricia is my only guest today. As regular listeners of Let's Talk Marketplace know, we always like to get real on this show, and include the perspective of brands selling on the marketplaces. And therefore, I'm really happy that we are also joined by Tama Memis and Hassan Imran from the German manufacturer Neudorff, which is well known to, I think, every German owning a garden for its biological plant protection products. So hi, Tama, and hi, Hassan. Great to have you here.
Hi, Ingrid.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's really good that you're both with us today because Neudorff very recently did what a lot of brands in my audience have been asking me about in the last month, and that is starting to sell on Bol. So together with you and Patricia, I'd like to get deeper into the reasons behind your decision to sell on Bol and into the details of the onboarding process, of course. But before we get into that, maybe we should first introduce our listeners a bit more to Neudorff. I have a garden at home, so I have several of your products in my shed, but that might not be true for everyone. So maybe, Tama, tell us about Neudorff. What is that company all about?
Yeah, thank you very much. So Neudorff is a well-known brand, as you said, in Germany especially. So everybody who has a garden probably know our brand. If you go to any DIY store, you will see shelves full of our products. So we are a leading manufacturer located in Germany, focusing on plant protection products, but also not only protecting the product, but helping them grow in terms of fertilizers. What we do, we also do soil and everything what a passionate gardener needs around his garden. So we are now over 170 years old, so quite a traditional company, but especially in the last few years, we are really highly focusing on our newest digital channels, and of course Bol is one major part of that, but we will talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, great to hear that that traditional company is now turning so much to the digital side here. Maybe Hassan, can you tell us a bit more about that? So what does your marketplace strategy look like? So which marketplaces do you sell on, and how big is your team and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, we started as probably a lot of people start with the Amazon marketplace, and then after that we focused on eBay, Kaufland, Otto, all of the German marketplaces. And at one point we realized, okay, we have to move out of Germany, and for that then we started with Bol. And other marketplaces are coming as well. We want to expand to France, to also the Polish marketplace. So that's currently our biggest to do.
Okay. So how important is the marketplace channel for you at the moment? Because as you said, I know as a DIY user, the shelves of any stationary DIY shop are full of your products. So how important is the digital side of your business at the moment for you?
That's when I tell you how we do it, you will see that it is very important. So for all these digital channels, what we did starting from October last year, we set up a separate entity. So actually, you are now talking to members of the Neudorff e-Performances GmbH. That means what we learned and saw with a lot of other manufacturers is when you try to set up a e-commerce business and on top of that, a D2C business into traditional processes for a company that is used to ship pallets and truckloads for the last 170 years. We see that as a big challenge to shift to small units, single units, next day delivery, and with all the operational processes behind that. That's why we decided last year that we will do it correctly, best practice, and from our point of view, that's doing it in a separate e-commerce entity with all the freedom we have on the one hand, and the good thing is that we are not bound to any legacy systems, which are very good for a B2B business, but we did build up here from the scratch best practice e-commerce processes. That means a WMS system focused on e-commerce, bookkeeping systems, automated, focus on e-commerce, and that really helps us to accelerate digitally and online. So that's
really
how
impressive.
important it is.
Yeah, that's really impressive how you're doing that, like building this D2C, fast ship within this old and established company that is still serving the brick and mortar stores, but you are going ahead for the digital channels in your own entity. So no conflict there between, the old business and the new business?
Always, but that's how it is in the beginning. It's not a conflict because what we learned very fast is that, and I think that's a known fact in the market, that digital or online and offline, if it's done good, accelerates each other. So if we make a really good job online, and we do, as the last GfK numbers show, recently, just last week, we learned that we are market leader in plant protection products online in Germany. So this visibility online, of course, helps the retail colleagues of us, and the other way around. If we are very visible on the shelf, we get the advantages online too. And with our vast product portfolio we have, there's always products that might not fit in the retail for certain reasons, but are perfect online, and of course the other way around. So also with programs like drop shipping, let's say Hornbach or whatsoever, we also support the colleagues to get a better positioning in the retail market. So we do it together, not separate. That's very important.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, international visibility check. Patricia, when Neudorff approached Bohl, did you know who that company was already?
I did, but let's be honest, that is because I am actually German. I grew up with my mama using Neudorff, so I am myself familiar with it.
Yeah.
But generally, I think in the Netherlands, it's not yet that well known. But generally, German sellers, German partners, German products are very much welcome on the platform, and Dutch buyers do like it.
Okay, right. So that's an interesting point that I'd like to go deeper into. Right. Okay. So then we know who Neudorff is and how you're standing on marketplaces is. And let's get deeper into your decision to start on Bohl after a very short ad break. Okay, let's talk about a topic that we all like to avoid, and that is taxes. So consider this, 1,000 orders and one wrong VAT rate, and suddenly you're down 4,000 euros or something. So that's not a made-up example, actually, but a real risk for many cross-border sellers in Europe. VAT in e-commerce is complex, and with new EU regulations in 2025, it's becoming even more critical to get things right. So that's why we teamed up with our partner Tax2 to break down what marketplace sellers really need to know about VAT. So in our deep dive analysis, we cover when OSS help and when it doesn't, or actually hinders, basically. When a marketplace collects VAT and when you are still on the hook as a seller, why the wrong VAT rate directly affects your pricing and margins, and what's changing in 2025 and how to prepare for that. So whether you're selling via Amazon FBA or shipping from multiple countries or just trying to stay compliant, this is a must read if you are serious about scaling across Europe. You'll find the full article, including a complete overview of EU VAT rates, plus UK and Switzerland, in our show notes. Okay, so back to our topic at hand. Patricia, let's start with you. Bol has only opened its doors to EU sellers, I think about a year ago or something, and for international sellers actually this week. So how's the response so far? How are brands and sellers reacting to Bol being more open to them across Europe?
Yeah, generally we opened the doors for EU sellers very slowly and very curated in 2020 already.
But it was really hard to get in.
Yes.
I remember a lot of talks. Yeah.
Very strict guidelines. It is this week that we opened the doors towards outside EU, and then we are looking into the UK and China, actually, with our first Chinese and UK sellers online. With regards to the EU response, that actually was quite popular. So as you say, you remember yourself, lots of talks about how to get started on Bol. And that is still regulated. It's still in a way curated, but it is a bit easier nowadays to start as an international partner on Bol. And we're very much welcoming international partners on Bol.
So how does it come that people are now considering the Netherlands more and more as a cross-border alternative? Because I got a feeling that over lots of years, that market was a bit neglected especially from German sellers.
That is potentially possible. It is, of course, a small country, but what people might have not expected is how rich and economically stable it is. It's also a very fast-growing e-commerce country. And very good to know is that the smartphone usage and internet usage is exceptionally high. Yep. So Dutch households, basically 93% is purchased via internet. And what might have been underestimated is how much the Dutch and Belgian customers like to shop locally, even if it is online. So we as Bol are the number one marketplace and also the number one preferred retail brand, since we're local players. So our customers do like to shop with Bol. And that makes us very strong, but also the digital advantage that the market has makes it a super interesting country for European partners to sell with us.
Absolutely. Tama, when did the Netherlands come up on your agenda first?
From the beginning, obviously. So, of course, as a neighboring country, Netherlands it's one of the target locations we have in mind. But of course, if you look at the e-commerce journey, usually everybody starts with Amazon locally in Germany, and then internationalization in the pan-EU countries, for example. But then very fast, we are looking into, let's say, from a marketplace perspective, not from a country perspective, the second tiers. That means what about Netherlands? What about Poland? Czech Republic is quite interesting for us. And then obviously you can't play with Amazon anymore. You can, but you won't reach anything because especially in Netherlands, as Patricia said, the local hero is Bol. And obviously, when we look at the market, we usually start entering the market with the local hero. Might be Bol. Of course, it's Bol in Netherlands and for example, Allegro in Poland and now also Allegro in the Czech Republic. But Netherlands is also a special topic for us because we are not only entering a new marketplace, we are also entering a new market with our brand. So you ask Patricia, she knows Neudorff because she's German, but if you would ask one of her Dutch colleagues, probably Neudorff wouldn't come up. So that's very special for us, entering a new market with our brand. We are not in the retail as of now in the Netherlands. And of course, e-commerce then is a good entering gate into the country. And obviously, we were looking forward to start with Bol and just waited for these new onboarding chances we have now.
Patricia, what does the category that Neudorff is selling on Bol look like? How important is that for Bol, and how are the chances for new sellers there?
Yeah. So the gardening and plant category is an interesting category to start. It's also a seasonal category, one have to say. So it really depends also the peak times on when does summer or spring start. But generally it is a fast growing category. So the year-on-year growth for gardening and plants was 11%. And what we
that's higher than the average of Bol, is it?
Exactly. Okay. So what was also interesting to see is, since we had a good spring, since we had a good summer already, peak season started much earlier for furniture and products for the garden section. So yeah.
Okay. So Hassan, when did you first get in contact with Bol about selling there?
So for us, it was a little bit of a different story because I already had a contact at Bol. We started at my previous company, started talking at my previous company, exactly. And but then we, because I also started to talk to Chain Engine, and we were looking on how to onboard on Bol, and we learned, okay, there is an integrator-led program which we can use in order to start on Bol, because Bol has a lot of criteria in order to get accepted on their platform. And we were looking if we start now, because what was important to us to get on board as fast as possible, get it done, right? But not neglect anything which is required. For example, Dutch content and yeah. So that's what we wanted to do, and in order to do that, the most simple and the fastest version was to do the integrated-led program, and we did that together with Simon, which is a colleague of Patricia, and then Chain Engine came in, and we talked to Nathan about it, if there was a fast opportunity to go on Bol, and then there was. We actually onboarded Bol in like 2.5 weeks, which was very cool.
Wow. Okay, that was quick. And you would say that was mostly due to your personal account manager, if I get that right, with Simon?
I think so, because also because we already had a lot of things done. Basically, we did know which products we want to list. We did know what the content has to look like. We already have like perfect pictures in Dutch. Our graphic design team was like amazingly fast with it. So
okay, so you did your homework before.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Okay, let's talk about that homework, because this is something that I rarely get when I talk to sellers that internationalize, that they do all that stuff before they actually get really in contact, and then onboarding can get fast. And so what did you do? How did you decide which assortment you wanted to list on Bol, and what content you needed?
So regarding that, we are very limited to what assortment, because everything in plant protection is regulated country-wise. So there is EU regulation, but there's also country regulation. This is why we only have, for the beginning, when we onboarded 5 products, which we knew would do well on Bol or in the Netherlands, because we already saw that there is demand in the market for the items. And so we then started with those 5 products. Obviously, with 5 products, you can get going very fast. But now we are also looking into how to take from a German assortment and push it into the Bol market or into the Netherlands market. So we go forward with roughly 20 products more. But that's a very, very hard point for a lot of sellers. What we realize is, when we talk to the brands, they can't get that done in the speed we have done it, because most of the time they if you look at Amazon today, there are a lot of great pictures. Everybody says images are the thing, but and they are, but still a lot of legacy brands can't get that done because they don't have the capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. How are you doing that team-wise? So is Bol just one part of your whole marketplace strategy, or do you have specialists that are taking care of the Dutch market, or how do you do that people-wise?
So in terms of team, we are a very small team and of course very efficient in that case. So we are not on a level where we would say we have a dedicated person for Netherlands. But of course, as Hassan said, in the background, when we look to our product managers, obviously we have a dedicated team for international markets, and within that there will be somebody for Netherlands. As Hassan said, our portfolio is quite restrictive, which has also positive effects for us, obviously. But that forces us a little bit to do our homework beforehand, because at the time when we are launching a product on the marketplace, there has been a lot of work into content because of compliance issues. So we know the product very good from the beginning, and that makes it quite easy to transfer that into good content. Obviously, we need here the expertise, for example, from Hassan and other colleagues that dive in. So what we do before we go on the marketplace, we dive into the content structure, what is important for the marketplace. Everybody knows that for Amazon, but it's different on eBay, it's different on Ball. And what we obviously do is really give a high focus on localization of the content, not only language, but really how does ball.com work in contrast to other marketplaces, because that's the last 20%. I think 80% is quite easy, but we want to go the full 100% is tough. Let's say 95%.
Okay. Right. I am coming back to the differences you just touched upon. But before that, Patricia, I mean, come on, these are dream sellers, aren't they? I mean, they come
Right.
totally prepared. They know exactly what they want. They have an assortment that is perfectly fitting to your marketplace. And then you can onboard them in 2.5 weeks. But let's get real. That's not the standard, is it? What is the normal case of brands coming to you?
Yeah, it's two ways. As Hassan also mentioned, we have two ways of onboarding partners on Bull. If your sales potential is quite high, let's say above 500K on a yearly basis, you do get hand holding by a new business developer. But that means also that the process is longer, with checks and setups and long meetings. Whereas with Hassan and Tamer, also because they were prepared so well, we could help them by onboarding via the integrator-led program and then channel engine. And I do have to say, out of experience, partners that work with an integrator, they are usually faster because the mapping is correct. They are experts also in content and advertising, but also repricing strategies. So you get double the help, basically. But if you're well prepared, if you have your content ready, then you can go live very fast. But I think some struggles that international partners have is indeed on the one side, the language, because we do ask the content to be in Dutch and also the content to be high quality. So that takes some time for partners to get that one ready.
You did ease up a bit on the topic of Dutch customer support in the last year. So it is now you are accepting brands that can only offer English customer support. But is that something that you would recommend, or are the Dutch people really set on getting their customer service in Dutch?
So what we say is indeed for phone, English is absolutely fine. What we do ask partners is, in case they receive an email in Dutch, for example, to also by email answering in Dutch. But nowadays, with AI and how advanced Google Translate is, that's all you need. It's really, you don't need the Dutch speaker anymore, the Dutch native. That is totally fine. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So if you look at the Dutch market, Hassan, how different do you have to treat it as a market, as a marketplace, when you, for example, compare it to Germany?
Yeah, so there are basically three things. Number one would be very fast delivery. We do know it in Germany as well. People expect fast delivery, but for the Dutch market, we see that 1 to 2 days is absolutely necessary in order to sell your inventory. And that is quite hard to achieve if you're EU seller and have inventory for like we have in Germany. So that's one hard thing you should consider. Number two is content. It is rather different. Dutch people look at things rather different than Germans would do, right? We learned that in our pictures we have to explain what the product does, because the pictures are the thing the people look at. right? That's two things. And number three is for us, we learned that like having Dutch content, the sort of product description, having it in a way people understand the item because our items have to be explained. That is something we needed to do. So that we did.
Okay. Patricia, can you add up on that? So what are things that international sellers maybe don't have on their list when they look at the Dutch market, because they might just consider that it's a European market that is basically the same as the French or the German market, and that's not true. So what would be examples for that?
I think on the one hand side, elaborating on what Hassan said, really, really is the fast delivery. The Netherlands is spoiled with next day delivery. Even same day delivery is becoming more and more big here. It's also because the country is rather smaller, so the density is quite high. So you are actually able to get the parcel from one to B super quickly. So that's quite established. And I think for international sellers, that's one of the biggest parts to compete with the local partners. And on the other hand side, it's the customer service they are used to. I think the speedy replies, getting an answer very fast, but also the friendliness and the good service. That is something Bol stands for, and also that's what the Dutch and Belgian customers are quite used to. So that is also what international partners want to keep on their agenda, making sure to answer everything fast. These would be the two big things, but also, make sure to join in the campaigns. The Netherlands is also a country that's very much used to discounts or campaigns surrounding certain topics. So be part of that. I think that I can also add to the summary.
Okay. How are you following up on sellers, especially international sellers, that you might find lacking in these things?
So we have two things indeed. If you have a account manager or a new business developer that is working closely together with you, they have specific sessions that will explain you also the journey and the possibilities that you have. Very, very big sellers might even get a personal contact to discuss advertising strategies, sponsored product strategies. But we do see that there is much more potential also for the more long tail sellers. So people that don't have per se a direct contact at Bol. These could be using advertisements and sponsor products much more. So we're looking into campaigns here to also support the long tail sellers. Our international partner service is actually also quite well trained to give some tips and tricks there as well. So everyone who doesn't have a Patricia or a Simone, go call them. And indeed, we're now also improving that program for international base to get more access to strategic help with regards to advertisement and sponsorship.
I see. So, Tama, I know it's not been that long that you've been active on Bol, but how's it looking?
Actually, I'm quite active on Bol for a long time, not for Neudorff, but for my. So I know Bol as a platform for 4 years now, roundabout, and from my experience in the past is that it needs a bit time, but then the acceleration is quite intensive, and that's what we are expecting also from our current journey. Obviously, we have to keep in mind that we are a new brand in a new market, and as Patricia just mentioned, advertising. We are a brand company, so we also are dependent on advertising to get our brand out of there. That's a very, very important part for us, and we have big hopes. So we see the first sales are quite promising, and that's always a good indicator. So when we talk maybe next year again, I think we will tell a great success story.
Okay. So how are you acting on Bol when it comes to logistics and also to advertising at the moment? So are you handling your logistics yourself, or do you have a local partner? And how much advertising are you doing at the moment?
Yeah. So coming to logistics, that's also something we do maybe different because we do everything in-house. Patricia just mentioned that we are a very seasonal business. That means on the one side, if you go to a third-party fulfiller and tell them, hey, we have a great portfolio. We have products starting from 10 grams to 25 kilograms. We have a very seasonal business. We have plant protection products. We have explosive products and stuff like that. So it's not the best pitch to get the third-party partner, and that's one reason. But the other major reason is that we really believe that if you are in the e-commerce game, logistics should be one of your core professions. That's something we wouldn't outsource, and at the same time, we use this. I don't know if you mentioned that we use this logistics setup and our internal processes to offer these to external brands. So we act also at the same time when we work with the Neudorff portfolio. We also act as an online distributor for other big German brands. So that's also a major part of our future business, let's say. But that's why we do everything in-house, and we are very happy after the first headaches, of course. We are very happy now how everything is going quite well, and working towards automation in this regard. And I had the chance to talk one of Patricia's colleagues a few weeks ago from the logistics department, and I'm really impressed with what Bol is doing. So I think you have cut-off times of like noon. If I order something 11 p.m., it's delivered next day. Maybe we won't get there soon, but next day delivery is something from Germany with DHL, what we are using. It's quite possible, and I think we are on a good track. In terms of marketing, it's quite similar. Here again, we have a good marketing team and do everything in-house when it's about the marketplace business. So on platform marketing, we take all the knowledge we have, what we gathered over the time on Amazon, eBay, whatsoever, and now we are tackling Bol. And I think the Bol marketing tool is something also used by other marketplaces, so that helps us to really use our knowledge, and up to now we are quite happy.
Okay. Well, now I have to ask after those headaches you mentioned. Maybe name a few of those as well. So what didn't work so well in the beginning?
So when we started, 1st of October was the kickoff date, let's say, for this new entity. We moved into our current location 2 weeks later, and it was an empty warehouse. So we looked around in the empty offices here and found 2 tables, which we used for our first orders. So really startup. That's our beginning journey. Now we are in the warehouse, 20 plus colleagues, and shipping 5,000 units per day. Looking into automation, automated packaging processes, what we will implement for next year, because our aim is to have a capacity of, let's say, two-digit thousands, let's say 15,000. That's our first milestone we want to reach. And headaches are starting from getting people, the right people, motivated people, and going across technique, IT backup. So it's really important to have a good backbone, IT backbone. And we learned that a lot of systems are getting to their capacity limits when we really get the orders in. So we are fighting constantly to get the right systems, and the right system today might be the wrong next week. So we work in the back end with a modular software setup. That means we are not focusing on one big e-commerce ERP. We are looking into getting for every step, be it WMS, be it label creation, be it order processing, the best software in that niche. And then we are focusing on getting them connected via API. And that helps us really to get the best out of the softwares and exchange a software when it gets to its limits. So for example, if we have a label creation software that is getting slow after 10,000 orders, we are now able to replace that with a better one without touching all the other IT stack.
Okay. Right. Thanks for that insight into what you're doing there. So that was about half an hour of talking about the Dutch market and Bol. So maybe the final word to you, Patricia. Where is Bol going with this internationalization when it comes to the seller community that is active on your platform? Where is the goal there?
So one thing is very important to us, and that is, of course, staying true and loyal to our customer base and really keeping our promise towards them. And the promise we give our customers is the best experience, which obviously also includes the best price in a broad and high quality assortment. And in order to give that to our customers, this is where we're looking outside of the Netherlands and now also outside of Europe. So we really want to keep that promise and are expanding to the global seller base, basically. For everyone who speaks Dutch, we recently released the article about our journey now towards looking into the UK and China. And our focus is to remain the number one marketplace and to keep our happy customers, stay customer focused, but also grow with the international sellers. So everyone who has interesting and high quality products, we're looking for you.
Okay. Right. Okay. Good. I guess that concludes our podcast for today. So thank you all three for your input. That I think gave our listeners a great idea on what to expect if they start out on Bull. And to you out there listening, thank you also. What do you think about Bull? Is that marketplace on your agenda, or have you already started selling on it? Do let us know on LinkedIn, for example, or in the comments. And if you liked listening to us today, you could make us very happy by following us and rating our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever. Yeah, and of course, by tuning in next week, then Valerie will be back, and together we will talk to Anna-Maria Seelinger, which is the founder of the Amazon-only supplement brand Baby Forte. And she will tell us why she withdrew her products from the stationary retail. Spoiler, she feared it would cannibalize her marketplace strategy. Now, that's a twist you don't hear every day. I'm looking forward to that conversation. So for now, thanks and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You listen to Let's Talk Marketplace,
The Marketplace podcast with Ingrid Lommer and Valerie Dichtel.